Put your food away, Evan.
I'm ready to go.
I told you we didn't want to do this music this year, but we ain't gonna get away from it. We did. Man, whew, been a week.
It's just Monday.
I guess I meant last week. He said just Monday. All right. Welcome to On the Sideline. I'm your host, Jeff Holden. Today we're here with Big O,
Your favorite guy.
Coach Evan Hearn, and our special guest today from Henrietta, head coach AD, Mr. Jay Jones.
Nice having you on. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I love you.
I like that.
All right, so we'll just get right into it. Go ahead, and for those who may not know who you are or what
Okay.
you're about, just give us a quick introduction.
All right. Like you said, I'm Jay Jones. I'm from Henrietta. This is going into my second season as the head coach, athletic director there, and super excited and just trying to pour into young people and speak life into them. So
Good,
that's really
good.
what I'm about.
All right, so, and as you know, we're here. This is the football preview. This is actually our second try at this. Last year was pretty successful. You were here last year.
Yeah.
So football's king in the state of Texas, as we all know.
Absolutely.
So we're getting a little earlier start than normal.
Oh, I love it.
We appreciate you taking the time out and coming out here and talking to us. But we're excited for football. I know you
yeah.
are. I guess just give us a breakdown of how last year went. What was
Okay.
your overall record? How things went, and then we'll go from there, I guess.
Okay. We were 3-7. It wasn't the season that we were hoping for, but learned a lot from it. And so, I think we have a good group of kids coming back that's been in the system for a year. I think that, I think anytime you come into a place, it takes a while to get your systems all in place.
Oh, yeah.
I think that, the way we lift and the way we run is important. And I think what we're doing is good. And I think, as you saw throughout the whole year, I believe that, we go from everybody's doing the same lifting and running, not just football. It's not different. And so for us, you saw us have more success in basketball. You saw us have good success in track and in baseball. And so, we're just hoping to build on those successes in the football season for the second year,
So last year, like you said, the season didn't go the way you guys wanted the season to go. But also, too, I think I'm not a guy of excuses, but sometimes it's just the facts. You guys also struggled a lot from being young. Wasn't youth plays a role. A lot of people that's not really into football don't understand, especially on the varsity level. There's very few 9th and 10th graders that are playing at a high level on the varsity level. So being young also plays a part, especially when you're playing against other teams that probably have a little more experience of kids that have varsity experience. So how did youth play a part in last year's season, and how are you expecting those bumps and bruises to play a huge role in this season?
Yeah, I think that we started 2 freshmen, and we had some sophomores help us too. And so I think, you do take your lumps, when you're starting young kids. But, now that those kids have been through it, they've experienced it, they can lead the next year's younger group through it, and, I think our junior classes are going to be senior class now, I guess, is a really good class. And, it's time for them to step up, and they realize it's time for them to step up, and they have. But we've got some young kids too. Cruz Coleman is the one that sticks out in my head. That, man, he's just going to be a sophomore, but man, he was a leader last year as a freshman. And so, those kids are special. And but I think it's just that one more year of experience and understanding the speed of the game, because it does change. You know what I'm saying? It is a lot different. But I'll give credit to where credit's due too. Like, the guys we play are tough. We're in a tough
Not
district.
an easy district for sure.
And so, I think that, hats off to them too, because they were a lot better and got after us a lot.
So I have
we can do that.
So I have another question. This is kind of off the wall just because just mainly because I know both of them.
Okay.
How is the dynamic of having two brothers, one being a senior in Cooper, and then having Cruz as a sophomore? Because I know Cruz for sure don't like to put up with nothing with Cooper, and Cooper for sure wants to make sure he knows that he's the little brother.
Yeah.
How special is that to have that kind of that tandem, that type of talent tandem, and seeing them get after each other in practice?
And they do a great job with that too, man. They really are. You know, they're big fans of each other, and so that's not a lot of, you know, it's nothing really. I've never seen them like get in an argument. You know, that now they'll give each other, you know, they'll talk about who's faster or whatever. But, you know, they understand they're both really important to our program, and not just in football either. It's in all of our sports, and so it's really cool to have those kids, and then, you know, it's just awesome to see kind of that dynamic between those two and how great of leaders they both are.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So, Coach, as you mentioned, last year was your first year as a head coach. Talk about, as you came in from Frisco, talk about big school compared to small school. How was your adjustment to that and things of that nature?
Okay. Yeah. You know, I think the biggest, I guess the hardest part is not, and it's not necessarily going from a big school to small school, but changing areas, you know, because I didn't know a lot about the schools that we were going to go against, you know, and so I think that was a big thing for me, is not necessarily about the size. Now, obviously, the number of kids you have to choose from is a lot different, but, you know, really ball is ball, you know, and if you're, you know, if you understand ball, you can correlate it either way. But I think the biggest thing is changing regions or areas I'm at. I think that was a bigger thing, just not knowing who we were going to go against and what.
So I'm happy.
Whatever it was about.
I'm happy he said that, because this is something that I've tried to tell people multiple times. Evan even knows, he's coming from different regions. I'm born and raised in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so coming out here, people don't understand schemes are according to the regions that you live in. You see more teams out here being smash mouth running the ball, and a lot of people think that correlates with 3A, 4A, 5. I said no, it's a region thing, because when you get down there, the 3A schools in that area, they're throwing the ball. They're still air raid type offense, and I think it's because I feel like coaches bounce off of other coaches like mine's, kind of things like that. So are those the things that you're saying you noticed that was kind of like different as far as like philosophy?
Some of it was, I think, just knowing your opponent. Like, I know, you know, down from where I was, you know, I knew the opponents that we played, and it was different. And so that's the biggest thing, is just like knowing your opponents better. You know, I think that was one thing for me, at least, that it took longer. Now I know, okay, hey, this is what they're about. You know, this is what this team is going to do. And so it just prepares kind of get your mindset before you start watching the film and all that. You kind of have an idea of already, okay, hey, this is what their DNA is.
Yeah.
And so you talk about that. You, like you said, you were almost foreign, you know, to ball down this way. So
absolutely
moving forward with this upcoming season, let's talk about your team from last year, about how many seniors you lost, and talk about Cruz Coleman already, but talk about the seniors you lost, and then your upcoming guys that maybe we don't know about.
You know, we lost a couple on the defensive line. You know, we lost Blaze Deaton. We lost him kind of in mid-season. Just got kind of banged up. And so, you know, to me, those were big losses. You know, coming up, you know, our senior class is going to be really good. Case Brown is back. He's our big left tackle. Isaiah Altman is a returning starter on the offensive line. Fletcher Moore, he played both offense and defense line. He's going to be a sophomore, but he's going to be one of our leaders. And then also, Cooper Coleman, Cooper G, which he'll be a returning safety for us. Cruz is going to play our running back. Shaden Clark's coming back as our quarterback, which is big. You know, having a quarterback for the second year is always big. And then, you know, having somebody like Gage McDonald. You know, Gage McDonald played linebacker and tight end for us, and he's coming back. Hopefully we can get him healthy. You know, he struggled being healthy all year, and so having him back, and so, you know, I'm excited to have all those guys back. And just, again, they're bought into it too. You know what I'm saying? Like they're bought into grinding and working hard and, working together as a team and a family.
Yeah. So you mentioned those guys. Do you have any 8th graders that are moving up that might potentially see a little playing time, or that you guys are excited about, even if on on the JV team?
Well, and there's some really good our 8th grade class, and they're a really talented class. I would love to be able to keep them all together on the JV, playing JV ball together, because I think it's something that I think you can have success on Thursday night and Friday night if we do that. Now it just depends on staying healthy, and we'll have to wait and see. But there's a few that are really, really good that could maybe possibly help, but we're just not sure yet.
Yeah, their 8th grade group is Henrietta's at that stage that every coach kind of licks their chops. Their 8th grade group's good.
Mm-hmm.
Their group, there were freshmen this year that'll be sophomore. That's a really, really solid group. So they're stacking groups on groups. That 7th grade group is solid. That'll be 8th graders next year. So that's kind of like a coach's dream when you see those groups. You got because you always think like once they get together, how can it be? So you have a really, really good group. I wanted to highlight one kid you mentioned is I call him Mr. Brown, the left tackle. He's not your typical 3A offensive lineman.
No, he's not.
He's a big kid, moves well, got good feet. He plays real good, plays nasty. I used to talk about him a lot to these guys, but and I know you love the offensive line guys, and it's always special to have somebody like that on your team that kind of because he'll be a senior this year, right?
He'll be a senior.
Yeah,
yes,
kind of holds the bar, like one of those kids that holds the bar. Makes the other because the Fletcher kid, he's good too. He's gonna be a monster too. But he has something to look up to, because sometimes when you're the younger and you'd be like, but he didn't have, so he had somebody to look up to. So shout out to Mr. Brown, good football player. If you guys haven't had a chance to watch him play, he plays the game the right way, and he's not your typical, I would say 3A lineman.
He's a big old kid, and he's, like you said, I think the biggest thing is he knows how to finish and is nasty.
Yeah.
The thing is people in my terms, people get nasty and dirty in a it's different. Nasty is what you want. Nasty is playing through the whistle, doing things the right way, but dirty is when you start taking cheap shots and stuff like that. But I think he plays with a lot of nastiness. Sometimes we got to control a little bit better, but he's a dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, real quick, we'll go. I hate to keep beating the 3-7 record from last year, but you mentioned
it is what it is.
Yeah. You mentioned it wasn't what you wanted it to be. Everybody knows that, but it's a process. Mm-hmm. We talk about it here all the time. How we feel like you can't be judged really as a new coach until like your 4th or 5th year, because you finally get to bring those kids up through the pipeline that you've been molding. And
absolutely.
But what would you say after last year and moving into this year? What do you think that you as the head coach and your coaching staff would say is your biggest focus right now?
I think we're still building that culture. I think that's something that's big that, you never know. The way I see it, you never know where your culture is really until it's tested. You know what I'm saying? And we got tested a lot last year. And, you just saw that the culture wasn't quite there where it needed to be. And so we're constantly teaching, talking culture. Our mantra is trust, passion, discipline. And so this spring, I spent some time with some of our not just our football leadership, but our boys athletic leadership, and I got the girls involved too. And we came up with 4 core values that we're gonna hold hang our hat on, and that's what we're gonna hold to. Ooh, sorry.
No,
Will I get a little closer?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You can pull it.
My bad. Is that better?
Yeah.
Gosh. All right. But our 4 core values is grit, faith, character, and reliability. And so that's something that the kids came up with. It was something that I said, we split them up in groups, and I said, hey, y'all come up with 4. And there were 3 groups. We had 12. And okay, we got to narrow it down. And that's what they came up with. And so that's what we're going to hold to, and that's what we're letting them have some say in that culture to help kind of set it. And so I'm I was really excited about that part. And so just seeing that, and then we've made some changes. Coach Clark, he was the offensive coordinator. He's going to go to defense and be the DC. And Coach Bell, our DC, is coming to OC, but I'm going to call it. And so I'm super excited about getting the chance to call it again. And so that's where I'm most comfortable is calling stuff. So I'm excited about it.
So one thing, I guess we're talking about the grit, the different things that they came up with. So how has summer workouts been for you guys?
It's been
so far.
It's been good. I think that, of course you want more attendance. You wish you had everybody there, but man, they come in and they just grind. We're running and lifting every day, and then we're doing our skills, and so it's been really good. Again, the only thing I wish you'd get is more attendance, but it's tough because kids are working, and that's the good thing is kids will just text me, "Hey, coach, I'm working. Hey, you got to go work." Yeah. That's what I did all summer, right?
I say, yeah.
I didn't have strength and conditioning stuff.
We weren't allowed to do this.
Yeah, and so I was working, and so I get it, and so I just say, hey, the rule is if you're in town and not doing anything, be up there and work out, be a part, grind together with your teammates, because that's how you build leadership and that's how you build camaraderie, and so it's been good so far.
And that's probably, like you said, just coming from maybe Metroplex type style or bigger city. These kids in smaller towns, they're having to work to
absolutely
most of the time help provide for their families.
Oh, absolutely.
And so you understand that, and you want them to still be kids. But like you said, if they're there in town, come on up. So, you guys, let's talk about your non-district schedule.
Okay.
You were a new coach. Were you able to do your schedule last year?
No, we did not.
Okay, so
we did not.
So talk about that.
Yeah. So, our non-district schedule is a tough one. It really was, and I didn't realize how tough it was until I got playing some of those teams. Just to be honest. And so, you start with Windthorst, which Windthorst is always good. Burke beat us last year, and I think that we have they'll always be tough because they're bigger and they're going to have more kids, and so, and then Boyd, and then this year we're not going to play Stanford. We're going to have another bye week, or not Stanford, sorry, Seymour, and then we play Stanford, which it's always scary. They're really dang good, and then we'll have a bye and then we'll start with those City View. First district ball game.
Is Valley View not your first?
No, I'm sorry. Valley View. Sorry. Yeah, my bad. I didn't mean. No offense, Valley View. Valley View first, and then City View. You're right.
And then continue. Who do you
then we go from City View. We go Jacksboro, Holiday, and then end with Millsap.
So they have the gauntlet of the district right after Valley View.
Yes.
Basically, three tough opponents.
Three right back to back.
That's why they need to be in the summer weight room and conditioning.
Absolutely.
For
so better prepare yourself now.
Yeah. So last year I didn't say nothing when it happened last year, but I was like, Stanford? I was like, they set coach up. Because they're a powerhouse.
For sure.
And a lot of people think, they're smaller. Nah, dude, they are legit.
Don't play. Yeah,
they're a legit program.
They are legit.
Yeah, they're real as they get.
They're really good.
So I guess my next question for you would be, being a new coach, we always ask these questions because we just keep it real on the show. How important is it to have not only the buy-in of the players, but the buy-in of the community from a support system because I think as the community buys in, the more the players buy in. So how big has that been for in year 2 for you?
Absolutely. I think it's huge. I think it's, and that's the thing is what I try to talk about is we're going to try to do right by kids, and you may disagree with exactly what play we call or whatever, but at the end of the day, we're trying to do right by kids, and I think that's important that parents understand that's our goal, and we're trying to, like I said earlier, we're trying to speak life into them, and that doesn't always mean it's nice, and we're not going to yell at them, because coaches coach with passion, and that's what I want, and that's what, to me, that's what I want as a coach is I want to hire people that are passionate about being great, and so I do think it's huge. I think it's huge to get behind and rally. Because if you're rallying, the kids are going to rally, and then nothing affects us. I'm saying? That's where that grit comes in, right? Is when things are going bad, they're going to just buckle down and get after it, and so that's one thing that we're working on too, is just getting buy-in from everybody.
Yeah. So I guess to piggyback off of what you're saying, and I think that's very, very important with football. I think a lot of times I'm a parent. Yeah, we've all been parents in everything, but we have to remind ourselves that it's bigger than football. There's life lessons to be learned in the game. To me, in all sports, but nothing against the other sports, but for sure in football, I feel like over the years that I played football, I feel like I learned a lot of things from the coaches that coached me. Whether it's the way I coach now in Little League, I say some of the off the wall stuff. It'd be funny, but in my mind, I'm saying I've said this because this is something I can hear Coach Keelan saying to me.
Yep.
And it's just those little things that carries. And the kids later on in life, you coach them hard now, love them later. I tell everybody, you love on them, but you got to coach them tough, because I believe that if you coach a kid tough, they respect you a little bit more than if you're just real lax on them.
Well, and one thing that my philosophy behind that is, if they know that you love and care about them, you can coach them extremely hard. When I'm going to go back a little bit. 2008, when I was at Wiley High, I was the offensive line coach at Wiley High, and, literally I yelled pretty much every second of practice. Good or bad, I was yelling, because being an old line guy, I know, you got to prod those kids. And so, but every one of those kids knew how much I loved them first. And so I think that's something that's important that I keep trying to make sure that our coaches do, and that I do, is make sure that those kids know I love them. Because I'll tell them, I love them. I do. And it's not, and it's not, to me, it's not for me. And this is where I've learned a lot more, right? As an AD part, is it's not just the football kids that I love. I love all those kids that come and do all that stuff. Every athlete, and I want them all to be successful, and I'm going to push them all. And sometimes that's not very comfortable. Sometimes it's not very comfortable for the AD to call you out, but I'm just trying, like you said, I'm trying to keep it real and let them know that I really do care about them. I love them, and I want the best for them, and want them to be their absolute best.
So, reading about you a little bit more, you're from Allen, right? So,
hang on. Not the Allen that was. Yeah, I'm not the Allen that was Allen. We were not, when I was there. We were not very good. We were not very good.
But so you were probably the same size as what Henrietta was back when you were there. But
oh no, we were bigger than that.
But
we
25.
We were 5A, but we had just turned 5A.
Just turned 5A.
Just getting our teeth kicked in by everybody.
So 25 years of experience coaching, and being a Metroplex guy. How has the community of Henrietta embraced you and your family? And let's talk about just moving to a small town outside the Metroplex.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. There's challenges, obviously, just because my family's used to being able to.
Everything closes at 9.
Yeah, everything closes Mondays. You better go get lunch or dinner, because there's not much going to be open. Open table may be open.
Yeah.
And so, I'll talk about open table later.
Yeah.
I got a
something
burrito named off of me, dog.
It's
I
a
love
secret.
it. I love it.
Yeah.
But it's been good. It's been good. It's been a lot of fun, and my wife grew up in a small town in Georgia, and so it kind of feels that way. So it's been good.
Good.
I got another question. I think it's hard to really, in your position, just being here for a year, I guess, what are your expectations for this year? I know you mentioned earlier about, growing that culture, talking that culture, speaking to the kids, and making, life, about the kids. But as a football program, what do you think realistically are your expectations as the coach?
I think, obviously we want to make the playoffs. I mean, that's a goal. But I think that it's attainable. I think that, but I want to see growth. I want to see a little bit more tenacity and that grit that we're talking about. I want to see those 4 core values show up more. At times I felt like those didn't show up. And so that's one thing I want to see us do more. I want to see, us enthusiastic on the sideline, and so I know those are little things too, but I think that's a huge difference. Watching a team like Stanford, everybody was off the bench. They're all up there cheering, and I think that was something that stuck out in my head. And so, those are the things that I think we can set those expectations, and other things will take care of itself if we do those things. You know, just that grit and resolve that I want to see is the big thing. You know, when things aren't going great, you know, we're able to rally together and overcome those things.
Yeah.
So I guess my last thing, we got to talk business real quick. We need to have a business meeting.
Okay.
Is it
These
twofold?
guys, it might be.
Okay.
You know, these guys don't understand. They don't appreciate.
Yeah.
But this is time for the big old special.
Yeah.
So we seen each other powered up to meet.
Yeah.
Talked and the excitement on his face just touched my heart.
I
It
know.
just touched my heart. So
It did, absolutely.
So I'm gonna let you break it
Look
to
at that grin.
okay.
Yeah.
It is. I love it. I love
to
it.
the viewers, and then I'll get to the second part of my question. So he has a special announcement for our viewers on OTS, and go ahead and give them
All
that
right.
announcement,
So
Coach.
after last year's podcast, Open Table heard our stuff, and I told them about the burrito with queso. So they named that the Coach Jones Special.
There you
Oh,
go.
So
man.
if you go to Open Table and ask for the Coach Jones Special, you'll get the Baja burrito with the queso on top.
Well,
Oh,
so
man.
Well, we
they're
need to have.
awesome, man.
All right, we're gonna go
Are we
on the
where
house
are we headed
on
then?
Coach Jones. Coach
Hey,
Jones has got
hey.
he's got for us. He
Hey, I'm
said,
telling you, y'all just gotta tell me when. We'll go up there and we'll go for
I'm
lunch.
going.
Yeah.
I'll tell you,
Yeah.
they'll take care of us. They'll take care of us.
Yeah.
hey,
so-
when do y'all play in Henrietta? Oh no, you already
No,
said y'all coming.
we're at City View this year.
So shout out to Open Table, good food, good
Absolutely.
people.
Great people.
The owners are great people, very very involved in the community. Shout out to them. So Coach, I guess my next part
That was
for you,
twofold.
I got to. We're
Yeah.
talking food. I could make it a 3-course dinner. You know?
4 or 5.
But so I guess my last part is while on the road traveling different places, whether any sport, not just football, what's been somewhere that you guys have enjoyed eating?
Let me think, because I feel like I've done a whole lot of traveling this spring. That was the one thing too that I didn't know, like what my spring was really going to be like. Because last year when you're coming in, you know, you're not having to do. But man, I went everywhere. I went to Edinburgh for the
girls' powerlifting. And that's far.
That's way down there.
I'm happy y'all made it back.
It was way down there. I mean, we went a lot of. There was one day I went to like 3 different events. I went to tennis, I went to softball, and then I went to baseball, and then I came home.
Man,
So
the
yeah, I
life
went
of
to
an AD.
Austin. Man, I'm trying to think of some really good places.
Did you eat any barbecue while you were in Austin? That's like kind of
No,
like
I didn't, because it was like literally I was out of the car for about 2.5 hours, and I got right back in the car and drove home.
Sound like an awesome burrito type of day.
Yeah, I have had also burritos since then. I actually had some taquitos, not taquitos. What are they called?
The chimneys,
No, I didn't have the chimneys today. I had some on the way over here.
the beef and bean burritos, and
I
then
had some of that. Yeah,
and then like the little flauta looking things.
Flotzes. That's what it
Yeah.
was. That's what I had. Those. I had 4 of those today. So
That's good food. So
yeah.
so
Oh, so my last question is: at this year, what has been your proudest moment of football field, or maybe just as the AD? What has been your proudest moment?
Well,
this first year for you.
And that's pretty big. You know, I think I'm gonna have to go away from football. You know, I think it was really awesome to watch Croston Turner win in the singles, 3A single state champion. That was pretty cool to watch.
Tennis.
I mean, it was a
Tennis.
in tennis, it was a battle, and
Cross can play too.
yeah, and it was awesome. And then just watching our boys basketball team show some grit and just determination, I thought that was really awesome, because that's what I'm looking for, right? Is like, how are we making progress in the culture bit? You know, and then watching our baseball team, you know, I think, you know, go advance past the first. I mean, they had been in the playoffs in like 7 years, hadn't won a playoff game in 11, and they won a series, and so.
Y'all's volleyball team did real good.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing is we're super blessed. You know, I think both
Girls
boys and girls are both really good. You know, got to watch Ella run.
Oh yeah, she's
the 100 and 200. I mean, and
Yeah, she did.
is she just a
She got
junior?
Bregan
She'll
on
be a
she's
one.
only a
senior?
junior. Yeah, she'll be
Yeah.
back.
She
and
got
so
Bregan on that one meet.
yeah,
in the 100.
yes.
That was
And
awesome.
so, and then watching our softball team. I mean, we have a lot of good things going on, and you know, the program I think is going in the right direction. And so
sure,
that
for sure.
to me as the AD, that's what I really look for, is everybody having success. Our wrestlers, I mean,
Yeah.
we had Lila went and
She
got
went
second in state.
second,
So
yeah,
like
I
it was
remember
awesome
that.
to see all that, and just and that was the cool thing is I was able to experience all that, but just kind of from the
Yeah.
from the shadows.
as a
Stand
fan.
back and watch it
As a fan,
Yeah.
I mean,
and
not only
so-
as the director,
Yeah.
but as a fan, that's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. That was pretty cool just to kind of see all the different things that we had success with, and just my goal this year is for us to build on it and everything. Not just obviously I want to win in football too, but I know this is a football preview, but really for me it's about all the sports right now.
Right.
For sure,
Yes,
for
sir.
sure.
Yeah, and I got one more quick question
Okay.
back to football.
Yeah, you're good.
I asked this to all of them. It's a quick question. Do you have a game on your schedule this year that's circled? And what for, or why?
No, not really. To me, it's important just for me to focus on one game at a time and just focus on, being better than we were last year. And like I said earlier, I'm excited because I'm going to call it, and I think Robbie did a great job. But to me, it's something that, that's what I grew up doing. I've been calling it for about 10 or 12 years, and so not calling it was tough. And so, when we decided to make that switch, I think it's going to help both sides of the ball, and so I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, that's got to be exciting for you, and then also as a program as a whole, switching from a new play caller.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like getting a whole new coaching staff. It
Yeah,
almost
it's
seems
different,
like.
and it's hard right now. Some of the kids, we're trying to use some of the same terminology, but if I'm calling it, man, I got to have my formations the way I call it. I can't. I got to be able to call it the way I do it, so I can call it fast. So,
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming.
yeah, thanks for having me.
Do you have anything else for us?
No, I just appreciate you guys, just your support, and like I said, my main focus right now is just speaking life into the kids. I think that's so important that they hear the positive. Even though we're coaching them hard, we're trying to do it the right way, and so
Yeah,
appreciate y'all.
And we're excited. I mean, we're excited for Henrietta football.
Well, thank you.
We know you guys got a tough district, but I think
Got to go battle.
they got to go battle, and
Yeah.
Or
You
we'll
gotta,
see him on
you
the
know.
table. Is that what it's called?
See,
On the
open
ta-
table.
open
Open
table.
table. We'll see him
Yeah.
at the open table.
yeah, we'll
You
stop
guys
by
just
and we'll have
text
to,
me.
we'll
Just
have
text
to
me, we'll go.
text you on that.
Anytime,
But,
man, anytime.
again, we appreciate you coming up for the football preview. So a lot of things may be changing this year for Henrietta.
Yep.
We wish you the best of luck,
Well, thank you.
and thanks again for coming.
Well, thank you. Thank you
All
for
right.
having me.
Yep,
Really
take care.
appreciate
Thank
you
you,
guys.
sir.